everyone, Wayne from the CERN Earth and Space Center here. In today's video we're going to be talking about a celestial object that we often take for granted, and that's our moon. Now, the reason we're talking about the moon is because this weekend, September 26th, is International Observe the Moon Night. So get out there and take a look if you can. But if you can't, that's okay, because in this video we'll talk about some of the features and what you can expect to see on the moon. Here we are facing south on September 26th at 9 o'clock at night. And we'll see, if we're looking towards the south, we'll find a few very bright objects in that area of the sky, even despite all of the light pollution that we see around Chicagoland area. Here we have Jupiter and Saturn are both going to be very visible, but the star of the show will be our moon, which will be very bright, very easy to see right here. And the cool thing about the moon on September 26th is that it's going to be in its first quarter phase. Now, the phases of the moon change, what we can see of it, and if we zoom in a little bit, we can see about half of the disk of the moon. You might be wondering, why is International Observe the Moon Night not on a full moon when we can see the whole thing? And that's because there's a lot of really cool, interesting things that we can find right here along the terminator. And that's this line that separates the light part of the moon from the dark part of the moon. There's very interesting shadows and craters that really pop out when you're looking at it in the first or third quarter phases. And using Stellarium here, we can actually take a look at what the moon would look like for us through a telescope. So I have a plug-in that allows us to do that, and I'll put on the ocular view of the moon here. And then we can see what the moon would look like through a pretty basic telescope. Get a nice, better view of it, nice clear. We can see some of those shadows and craters along the terminator. So if you have a backyard telescope, take it out, and this should be what you see. But we do have some better software that'll let us fly around the moon and get a closer look at it for ourselves. So let's switch over to that now. So here we are in our Digistar planetarium software. We can see the moon, Jupiter, and Saturn all towards the bottom of the screen there. But we don't have to settle for what we can see of the moon through a telescope. Instead, we can fly out and take a look at the moon up close for ourselves. So let's do that now. We'll take off from Earth, and then we'll fly out and orbit around the moon. Now, human beings have been to the moon. It's the farthest we've ever been from the planet Earth. There have been about a dozen people who walked on its surface. Around 24 people have been there total, orbiting around it or on its surface. But the last time that any humans were on the moon was in 1972. That was the Apollo 17 mission, which was commanded by Gene Cernan, who is what our planetarium, the CERN Earth and Space Center, is named for. So we'll leave Earth, fly around the moon, and get a look at some of the views that those Apollo astronauts had on their journey. And as we orbit around the moon, we can really see the definition of that terminator line, where the shadow of the moon starts, the side that's facing away from the sun. And we can see the difference. Now, there's a great temperature difference there as well. Like, it's very, very cold on the dark side of the moon. And then as we come around, we'll see the terminator there, showing some of those wonderful craters that we can see on the moon. And there are some really interesting things, so I always recommend you get out and take a look at it. Even with a pair of binoculars, you can see some really cool things that you can't see using just your eyes. Well, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed our little trip to the moon. Remember to get outside and take a look at the moon this weekend, Saturday, September 26th, for International Observe the Moon Night. I think here around Chicagoland it is supposed to be kind of cloudy and thunderstorms, but if you get a chance, take a look at it. And if you don't, go out on Sunday. Come back again next week for another video. Make sure you like and subscribe to get notifications. And remember, get out there and take a look at the real night sky.